Hello, Freeman.
Hello, Lilou. How are you?
Good. It's good to have another weight release series, and you brought a friend this time. How exciting!
I want to introduce you to Dr. Michael Lennox. Michael is an author. He has a book coming out in February called Dream Sight. He is also, people know Michael from the Emmy Award-winning show Starting Over, which was, of course, on NBC, and then he had his own show on the Sci-Fi Channel for a while about dreams. So he is a dream interpreter. We actually do a series together called Perchance to Dream, a radio series. But we're also friends, and I wanted to bring him in because the last time we spoke, we had talked about tracking your dreams, and there's a very real reason for this. And what we say, or this is actually, it's my words, but it's also Michael's, is that the dreams are the language of the subconscious. So a lot of times, what happens in our waking state is we're filtering, right? We're filtering, we're always adjusting, we're making up stories, we're adjusting our world to be sure we're safe, and so forth and so on. However, there may be things we're unaware of in the conscious mind that will come out in the unconscious experience or subconscious experience of dreaming. Does that make sense? Okay, so say something for a minute, Lilou. I'm afraid we might have lost your volume.
Sorry, no, it was because I turned off the volume while I'm listening to you. But yeah, I'm very interested, especially with the big dream that popped up after you said that.
Yeah.
Well, what I love about that, Lilou, is that my experience is always that when somebody brings in the idea of the dreams can be valuable, a dream will come. It's automatic. I had a dream circle last month, and a woman came up to me at a lecture and said, "Oh, I don't remember my dreams." And I said, "Oh, well, put a pad by your bed, write anything down that comes to you, even if nothing is really clear." She showed up 10 days later at the dream circle with 3 mega dreams that she had had after years of not remembering her dreams, because you plant the seed and the unconscious mind wants to express. It wants to.
There's also a piece of this, too, where when we have an experience of a dream, and I think I mentioned these last time, is it's not just to remember the dream, but actually to sit in the vibration of the dream, because there's a lot of energy in dreams. And a lot of times, especially when they are fear or anxiety dreams, which I have, that's one of the ways that the anxiety shows up. I work a lot of things out in my dream state, is when I am, and I actually, my dreams wake me up. They're very vivid and they wake me up.
Wow.
And then I don't want to sit with the vibration of it. I want to go fix it or change it or get out of it. And I have learned, albeit I don't do this all the time, but I have learned the value of sitting in that discomfort and allowing it to be my teacher. Because what's happening in a sensory, experiential way, that is far more, I'm going to use the word real. Because again, in my waking state, I'm filtering. I'm not always allowing for what's really going on for me. How deep and profound am I feeling or even experiencing my life? And in the dream state, it's like I can't run away from them. They really grab my attention. So that's the big piece.
So if I'm understanding correctly, you guys have been in a process together, working.
Yeah.
And at some point, Freeman introduced the idea of tracking your dreams, and then a dream came.
Yeah, and really, really clear. And usually I don't remember them.
All right, wonderful, wonderful. So why don't we just start with the dream? I like to hear the dream first before I get any other information. And just so you know, Freeman we have not talked about your journey. So I'm coming into this with no information.
Well, thanks for coming in, and thank you so much for. No, this is awesome. I had this dream while I was in France, because Freeman, really loved the fact to coach me while I was in France, since I'm originally from France, and that dream happened over there. So I haven't reviewed it yet. But basically, what happened is that I was in that dream. I was supposed to save a little girl, and otherwise I can read the dream because I had written it down, because I have to say, otherwise the information just flows out, Do you
have the dream? Do you have the dream there in front of you?
Yeah.
Okay, why don't you tell me the dream?
Yeah.
Just out of your own sort of extemporaneous memory, and then if anything gets stuck or you forget or you want to refer to it, But what I'd like is your memory of how the dream is living in your thoughts now.
Okay.
Okay, just as you started. Okay.
Well, in my dream, I was up with a team to save people's lives. On this last mission on that day, I was supposed to save a little girl from her abusive mother, and that little girl was like suffocating and was actually had a makeup had makeup inside of her and outside of her.
Makeup
so, like,
as
foundation, like covering makeup. So it was covering her body and inside of her. So there was urgency in getting that makeup out, like her, throwing it out, like getting it out of her body urgently so she can, breathe and also get her away from that mother. And in that dream, I also had I remember it was strange because I had to clean also this huge space. It was dirty, it was messy, and my mom is actually a neat freak, and so I don't know why that came into the dream, but it was like I was in between, I had to clean this room and make it all clean and perfect, and on the other hand, I have a life, to save, and I felt like I was that kid, that observer, that saver, all of that. And then I took that kid and in my arms, in the car, in our supercar, going away to different dimensions, and I started to clean up this little girl, and I was like, oh my God, what am I gonna find underneath all of that, that makeup and that foundation? It must be really bad to cover it that much. And then I saw there was actually nothing. It was an immaculate, skin, and I was doing it with a lot of love and tenderness and very slowly. And after that, I saw your laugh now, Freeman. I got deconcentrated. But then after that little girl grew quickly into a woman, and that was in this other world. And I thought, oh my God, she's gonna need help, psychological help, because she's never lived like that before. But really, I mean, very naturally, she grew up into a beautiful woman, and she was wearing, I remember, yellow and very, beautiful, bright color, and standing up and being comfortable, and had no issues with what this kind of new life or new, that she was living.
You're killing me.
Oh, really?
Oh, absolutely.
I don't want to.
This is such a beautiful dream that is so clearly exemplifying the deep and courageous work that you're doing right now, and the ridiculous amount of benefit that you're getting from it. It's so clear. I'm having such a clear experience of receiving this dream. I'm tempted to say, "Oh, great job, Lilou. Bye."
Go home.
And I won't. I'll stick around and I'll sort of help you see what I see.
Okay.
See, this is what we're going to do. What I'm going to do with you is I'm going to show you through the universal language of the symbols in your dream what I see about you and your process through hearing this dream. It's
very cool.
A beautiful story about a woman who I'm seeing the image of, a clearly beautiful woman. You're hot, Lilou. Who has a lifelong journey. A lifelong journey of feeling suffocated, not beautiful, needing to put on a whole bunch of sort of makeup and foundation, a symbolic sense of what I have as my beauty, both inner and outer, is not enough by itself. So not only do I have to put on makeup so that my outsides are beautiful to you, I have to put makeup on my insides. I have to suffocate my own voice. I have to create a voice inside my own body that is not real and not authentic, so that it will be acceptable to Mother, acceptable to the world, and acceptable to me. And it's suffocating me.
Well, I have to pause for just a second. I have to tell you, I didn't tell him what's going on. So he just, because if you ask me what Michael just said is your process right now, almost precisely. I mean, it's like, it's so precise that, I I don't know. I'm touched, but anyhow, that's my 2 cents.
So let's go. Thank you, and that's wonderful. And that's, you know what, and why I love what he just said is not just because, oh, I now feel smart and oh, aren't I cool?
Though he is smart and he is cool.
But what's beautiful about it is that the power of the dream and the power of the unconscious mind is the thing itself. So that why we agree is because it's in the unconscious. Yeah. Not because he's smart, I'm smart, and you're vulnerable, although that helps. Okay. So in the symbolic world of people in dreams, a little girl is a young aspect of you. So the little girl, if you're in a process and in a journey, as we all are always, the little girl is the current kernel of growth and wisdom and maturity and healing that you're attending to. So you are literally going back in time and finding the inner little girl that suffered at the hands of the crazy that said you're not enough, that you've been slamming foundation inside and out of, right? So you have to save her. And of course, you do.
Yeah.
What's wonderful, too, is that what Michael doesn't know is we were working very specifically with your little girl. We call her
really?
Aurelie, because that was your name as a child. And in fact, if I'm accurate, either a day or two prior to this dream, you had gone into the woods to track and take her for a walk and see how it feels to be her.
Yeah.
Why Aurelie?
Oh,
that's your birth name. Interesting.
And because it was hard to pronounce, she became Lilou. So from a certain age on, she was Lilou, but Aurelie.
He's like, are you kidding me?
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Here's why it's beautiful to me, because Aurelie is the name you were given.
Yeah.
So that connects to, frankly, the part of you that comes from the parental sort of intergenerational thing. And that would include, I think, the limitations in the belief system in your family. And so Lilou, who you chose to be, is the sort of simplistic version of that. Lilou. I can't say Aurelie. Lilou is who I really am. So that when we go back to heal, who are we healing? We're healing the Lilou that is you, but that was named Aurelie.
Yeah.
And so your soul said, I can't even say that. I can't even say that name. So now we're going back and we're saying, no, I can say that name. I can tell Aurelie that she doesn't have to put on makeup. She doesn't have to swallow makeup. So back to the dream. You've got
one of the reasons too makeup probably came up as well is because I had rosacea, which is like really red area all over the face, and I done 3 months of antibiotics, and since I stopped, it's starting to come back, and one of the things that I use, yes, is makeup to cover it on a day, basis, especially with the video. So that's probably something also that came up in that dream, I think, that is I'm starting to worry about.
Well, and I'm sure Freeman has all kinds of thoughts and opinions about makeup, and one of the things that I would say about this thing is that, well, yes, we're looking to heal the inner spiritual sources of something that shows up on the face. My sort of desire for you, besides perfect and whole healing, would also be to have a relationship with the makeup that comes out of choice and not shame.
Okay, that's exactly what I was going to say. I was going to say it slightly different. I was going to say that the reasons you've put on makeup in the past, if we can create a space where we understand the way makeup was framed before and redefine what the putting on makeup is going forward.
Yeah.
You're still putting on makeup. I understand. Your face has a redness, and so you put makeup on, but the rationale, or that's not the right word, but the mental process, or spiritual process, emotional process of putting on makeup, if we can shift it to make it a positive expression of how you're showing up in the world so that it's not about hiding or suppressing or denying.
Yeah, it's not connected to shame. I make myself up because I'm ashamed, as opposed to I make myself up so that I look as my best. Listen, honey,
there's both. I mean, I do, you know, I mean, it's related, I guess, because I do like to, you know, I like to, how do I say this? No, I want to be self-expressed. I mean, really, I think I'm self-expressed on some levels, and some others, I wish I would see myself as just perfect the way I am and not having to add anything to it or suppress anything and just be even more so, you know.
The dream tells me that that is well on its way.
Okay.
The dream isn't saying, oh, stop putting on makeup. The dream is saying, understand, Lilou, that underneath the makeup, the baby is perfect. So that if you can stand in front of your mirror with your foundation in hand on a Tuesday and say, this is my perfect skin, and here I'm going to make it even more beautiful because I want to, because I choose to.
And there's even a distinction here where I would say that here is my perfect skin, and you can perhaps even put on makeup as a way of preparing for how the world out there is. In other words, it can be a very conscious understanding that the world out there wants you to be a certain way, so you're making a conscious adjustment, right, in the world, so that you're taking care of the part of yourself that does have this, these rosy cheeks and this experience, but it gets reframed in a different way so that you're consciously stepping out in the world. Because one of the big pieces, and it's very interesting, I watched a bit of the last Ram Dreary piece, and I am really loving that series, by the way. There's a number of threads of it that he is so right on in your life partner is yourself. That's so right on. And as you begin to love yourself and find ways to experience and express that in a relationship with other people, you will begin to step into relationships that are fulfilling. But it's grounded in your own self-acceptance and self-awareness, positive self-awareness. So that's the kernel that's growing, or the seed that's blossoming into this sense of yourself out in the world, right?
Yeah.
It's how you care for the vulnerable part of yourself. It's how you care for and nurture and take care of. But to be loved 100% for everything that you are. You know, when we did the line, remember in the I think it was number 2, we did the line of how are you expressed when you're on your game, and we did the right-hand column where there's, you know, oh, you're on the great date, and you're funny, and you're witty, and you're, you know, vulnerable, but you're, you know, whatever, lovable, and so forth and so on. And then we did the left-hand column, which we kind of referred to as the parts of you that have been denied, right?
Yeah.
So from my perspective, we don't want to get rid of the left-hand side. We want to relate to, let's say the left-hand side says something like unworthy. How do you want to be in relationship with the part of you that feels unworthy so that you can be self-expressive and da-da-da-da-da? So it's a relationship with every aspect of ourselves, which we call the integrated self, so that we can step into an expression of ourselves in the world that feels fulfilling. And even an expression sometimes of the shadow aspect, because, look, life isn't always yippee-skippy. I mean, what Ram Dreary was saying is, look, there's peaks and valleys. How are we in relationship with ourselves when we're in that state of feeling a little down? I just had an experience recently where I was having a very hard moment, and I was able to ask for support from my wife. And I have to tell you, I felt a level of fulfillment based on the fact that I've drawn to myself a life partner who can love me when I am barely able to love myself, and I'm able to express my need in a clear way. And she was so kind and generous, and that was so gratifying. And I thought about it afterwards. I said to her, you know, it was a middle of the night thing. I actually talked to Michael about it. I called him and said, I got to tell you about this, because I had a very real anxiety dream, and then I couldn't sleep, and I was just panicking, and then I was emotional, and I woke my wife up. And anyhow, the long and the short of it is, I feel so grateful that I'm able to call in such a wonderful partner. And I told Jasmine the next day, I'm so grateful that I had the experience. I'm not looking to have tough life experiences, but I recognize the opportunity in them for that. You know, and that made our relationship deeper. So it isn't that we're always on the up. My wife and I go up and down, and we have a hard time. It's how we are in relationship with the hard time that changes the quality of the relationship.
Right. I get that. But related to the, what I don't, I'm just like, as a dream interpreter, you know, how do you see this dream? What does it, what is my subconscious? Is that my subconscious is trying to communicate, or is it something else? I mean, is there other clues in there, particularly related precisely to this dream?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. The dream, first of all, the dream is overall a very good news dream. It's reflecting the value of the work you're doing. There's a couple of images that directly correspond to things that are happening in your life. One thing that you refer to in the dream is you've got a team.
He doesn't know anything.
You've got a team.
Yeah.
So I've just heard that you're working with him, then you're working with somebody else. Yeah, There's a team.
Yeah.
We all need teams. We all need teams. We need help from a lot of different sources. And if you've got the team, you're showing up in a full way. There's also an interesting image in the dream that says you're in the last mission.
Yeah.
Yeah, you said it's our last mission.
Yeah, it was the last mission of the day, but yeah.
Okay, still, it suggests that there's been missions before.
Yeah.
And if there's a last mission, that means that we always learn in peaks and plateaus. We sort of peak and plateau for a little while, and peak and plateau. So the dream is suggesting that there's been an arc of journey that you're in the middle of crystallizing and integrating for yourself. Mm-hmm. How I also know this is that the little girl that you clean up and see is actually quite perfect underneath, she grows up to womanhood right there in your dream.
Yeah.
So this suggests
really fast.
Yes. And sometimes that happens, that we're so ready to inhabit a new way of being in our consciousness that we do some work and we do some coaching, we do some dreaming, and suddenly we're able to integrate some ideas very fast.
That's it. And there's a piece, too, when you said that it was as if I was the kid, I was the observer, and I was the saver, or the adult, all at the same time. That is true. All day. Every day. That the more you are all three simultaneously, that's integrated.
Yeah, the richer your experience is going to be, because then you're drawing from all parts of you to make choices. Let me ask.
The dream I was saying is separately, but then afterwards I saw that I was probably referring to myself. But it was afterwards. In the dream itself, it was three distinct people.
Right, but the dream and the retelling of it in my world are the same thing.
Yeah.
And I have a piece about this. You can tease out the three aspects and actually address each one separately. That's perfectly normal. In other words, you can be in a state where you're like, wow, I'm really in the observer right now. You can be another place where, wow, I'm really in the child. Like I'm feeling overwhelmed in the world and anxious. But the degree to which you can be with that and allow that to be part of your experience is the degree to which that becomes integrated. And then you can be in the adult, which is managing and caring for everything and and saving the day. And they're all three you.
Now, let me ask you a question. There was this huge space that needed cleaning, and then there was the girl that needed saving. So let me make an observation first, that the space that's inside you is huge. Okay? There's some wonderful validation right there that says my inner landscape, Lilou's inner landscape, is huge. It's not small and cramped. It's actually huge. It's a little dirty. We got to clean it up.
In areas. It was not like big chunks, though. I remember it's like little piles everywhere.
Perfect. How manageable is that?
But it was all over.
Got it. So let me ask you a question. One thing.
You're laughing. Everybody's like, yeah, I'm loving this.
What you expressed that you had to make a choice, and you did go towards the little girl, which, by the way, brava. I think that that's the higher choice, to go more towards the little girl than the little messes. Why? Because you can still use the space, even if it has messes. You can't use the little girl if she's dead. So, but did you have to abandon the space to go to the little girl? What was your relationship with, okay, the space has got piles of whatever, but I'm going to go over here? How would you characterize that?
I don't remember. I might need to go back to the...
Make it up.
I think it was two separate... it's like a dream within the dream.
Okay, I understand. We don't have to go back to it. But I'll just say again.
Separated. It was. I don't remember. If I read what I had written, I would, but I don't.
It's unimportant because the message for me right now is pretty clear that the space, though dirty in spots, doesn't require your attention the way that the little girl in you does. In fact, the large, huge space with little dirty piles is much like life. A huge expanse of opportunity that has mess. Oh, well, my attention needs to be over here. This new, emotionally visceral, powerful, young, vibrant part of me.
Right, and I guess there was some guilt and yet some obligations to do that. Like, oh, I'm supposed to say that little girl, but I'm here doing this for somebody else, and nearly felt like it was for my mom or for somebody else. Whereas, I wanted to really go somewhere else, and I was like magnetized to stay there and do this when really I wanted to, do something else.
Yes, absolutely.
So I was not fully myself. I was like, okay, this is part of the rules and regulations and things and must have and this and that I have to do. And I just, I felt inside, there's something else. Yet I was still there doing it.
Yes, well, and
until it was clean and all ready, then I could go. I think that's what happened, is that it had to be all set. And then I had satisfaction from that and then more energy for the other.
And, well, what the dream is suggesting to me that even though you may have stayed in the space and been obligatorily cleaning it, you still got to the real work of healing the girl. So
On time, too.
Well, and honey, your journey is going to be distracted with the irrelevant. We're always going to be distracted with the irrelevant, which is, I've got to clean the mess because mother's voice is living in my head and she's saying it's dirty and all right. Oh, right. My real attention is over here.
What I like about everything you just said, Lilou, is, again, I want to go back to what I said at the beginning, that often it's the vibratory, energetic piece that is most valuable. And how you just characterized the obligation to clean and the I have to because I can't go out and play until my room is clean, or it's the sort of messages of that. Now, while I think that taking care of some of the little piles may free you up energetically to go do other things, all of that is fine, but I want to take that and like push it over the side. And we've talked about this. Energetically, you're still dealing in the world of the rebel, of the push-pull with mommy, right?
Yeah.
So energetically, you're still having that kind of teenage resentment for having to do all these little cleanings. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
See, that's interesting because while I think taking care of cleaning some of the little piles in your life may be important, so energetically you can be freed up to go play, as it were, I want to make the shift, much like with the foundation, about how you choose to be with those little piles so it isn't the exasperated teenager having to do it and having to be a responsible big girl. You see what I'm saying? It doesn't change the fact the piles are there, and it doesn't change the fact that there's a part of you that recognizes that you probably have to deal with some of these piles so you can be freer. That's cool. Because we talked in terms of you might have to give up some of the positions you've taken. You might find yourself in patterns of behavior, but also patterns of thinking, beliefs that you took on at age 13, 15, whatever, that still hold inside your subconscious mind. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not diminishing the fact that the piles still probably in your life need to be attended to. Energetically, the way you approach it, though, track that. Because when it's the I have to voice, when it's that that dynamic from your history energetically playing out, it's going to be a whole lot harder to deal with them.
And the dream is telling us that if you and when you put your attention on healing the inner sort of aspects, that is when the woman in yellow comes fully into being. And she's your inner aspect of capable, integrated, absolutely present to do everything. Be fully present with yourself, makeup, no makeup, and handle the piles. I bet you she's a great cleaner. What do you make of the yellow?
It was shining, it was presence, it was bright light.
Is that a color you enjoy?
Yeah.
Okay. In the
probably that I might not allow myself to wear enough, but I do it in summer, you know, and I do love that yellow. I do love yellow.
Yellow is the third color of the spectrum, and as such, it relates to the third chakra of our bodies. So it relates to the belly. So where we take our instincts from and our gut reactions and our sense of, you know, vibratory feelings from. And so if there's been limitation in your freedom, in some ways it may start with a notion of holding your belly in such a way that you don't allow freedom of that kind of vibratory information that you and your world is giving you. And so it's this aspect that's being cleaned up. What she has to offer you is a full, open, receptive experience of your own instincts, your own feelings, your own emotionality, and a freedom associated with running your life from your gut instincts.
That brings up a thought. Like my mom always said, you know, stand straight, heads up, and tight belly, and squeeze your buttocks. You know, like this way you're in a good position, and you just walk straight, and you just so there's this holding all the time. You know, that is ridiculous.
It is ridiculous, honey. Soft belly, soft belly, soft belly. Go with a soft belly. Much more happens.
I used to have abs, though, and I got my full abs back.
Yeah, I used to have abs, too, and I miss them, but, you know. I'll tell you what,
Freeman is covering for us.
Well, I don't have them anymore.
You
So I used to do all of that. I had the ripples, but I don't do that anymore.
Well, and it's interesting. Let's talk about this, because all three of us have this in common. Soap star with abs. 10 years ago, I was a ripped little muscle dude. And I loved that, but I created it out of shame.
Definitely.
So today, I don't have the shame, and I don't have the abs, and maybe one day I'll have a little...
I want to say something about this, though, because it's very interesting. I recently, in fact, they're over there, I pulled out some soap magazines. Hey, Katie, could you throw me one of those soap mags? And I started looking at my rippled stomachs, you know, my the pictures from me when I was on the soap opera. This is I won't pull the pictures out, but this is the soap opera mag that I found. And
let's see the pictures.
All right. Let's see here. This is funny. Oh, this
is the magazine of the soap opera.
Yeah, this isn't the one that had the abs, but this is Soap Opera Magazine. This is just a spread. But there was one that had like the ripples. You know what it was? It was those slides, but don't pull them out, just leave them. But anyhow, I found all these pictures of my body where I was, you know, quote unquote ripped. And I was in the bathroom without clothes on, about to get in the bathtub, and I was looking at my body. And I'll tell you, and this is very sincere, I love my body. I really do. And this has been a torturous thing, because realize all kinds of my personal shame has been projected on my body throughout my life.
He was hot, see? He's still handsome.
Oh,
He's
whatever.
very handsome.
But the point is this, is that my body today, I own it. Back then, the TV owned it. The society owned it. I didn't have ownership. I had given that over. And I'm telling you the truth. I have little psoriasis spots. My body's not perfect. I love my body today because I have shifted to, and we worked on this, how do I want to be in relation with my body? That's the question for some of the work that we do. that has really started to take root in me. And I can really look at my body. And when I look back at those pictures, I had this flush of pain for how in pain I was trying to live up to a cultural ideal. So I just want to say that because, you know, I really believe, Lilou, that your body is perfect. I believe that with every fiber of my being. I believe that as we move through some of the patterns of behavior around food and we begin to add compassion to them, you will have a very different relationship with your body. That is my sense of the work that we're doing. I know it's not precisely what we're doing today.
I hope so, you know, and I want to, and being free in our body is essential, especially since, you know, I want to be free, you know, and be able to be on stage, you know, and be silly. You know, right now I'm not authorizing any of that. I want to be self-expressed and share everything that I feel inside of me wants to share, which I'm sometimes censoring because I feel I don't have the capacity or the, you know, or this or that. But I just feel all the love and all the wisdom, all the energy, you know, just all of that needs to be expressed, whatever that is, that really wants to be expressed.
Beautiful.
And I'm afraid to do that yet. I do it in some extent, but for me, I feel there's so much more inside.
Lilou, when you are honest and sincere, this moment right now, your eyes, the depth of your soul, when you say there's a part of me that wants to come out, in that moment, you just came out. You came out in a way that is so incredibly loving, lovable, and profound. That is actually your gift to give in the world. So I've said before that I was tortured with my weight and food for decades. And I believed that that was something that needed to be fixed, that I needed to cut out, that I needed to solve it. It was a problem. It has been my greatest gift. It is one of the ways that I can express my humanity in the world and be of greatest service is by having compassion for the human experience I went through in relationship with how food and eating and everything played out in my life. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to have Michael agree with me here because he does. I know he does. Is that when you tell your truth and you are sincere, your eyes get as big as saucers. They're brown. You are precious in that moment. You are so lovable. Does that make sense?
I get that. Thank you.
I also want to add from the dream's perspective, the woman in yellow loves her belly. Exactly this.
Yeah.
She loves her belly. And honey, the woman in yellow is you. She's the part of you that already loves her body exactly as it is.
Yeah.
And so I would encourage you as a ritual, as an exercise. Yeah, put on a little yellow in a moment where you're completely private and safe and dance around the living room.
As a conscious expression of your self-acceptance, this aspect of yourself. Yeah.
I am already this. As you on and dancing around, I am this.
Okay, we have a big moment that I want to encapsulate right now. I've said it before, but I want to say it again. How do you want to, so we take the two sides of the paper, we call it the split. We're healing the split by integrating. This part of you, the beliefs, the self-doubt, all this stuff, that in order to get to the upside, you have to be in a relationship with. You can't cut it out. You can't deny it. You actually have to move through it and integrate it. Okay, so then the question is, every aspect of you, consciousness is the ability to observe our own experience with a compassionate perspective, and then choose how we want to express it in the world. That's what we're talking about. So in my book, when I was talking about those poems I wrote from the really dark place in my life, that's how I chose constructively to express it. In my life, I have often repressed it, and it has come out in a destructive way. We are now, by accepting every part of our humanity, every part of your humanity is lovable. And when you come to a part that you have work to do on, how do you want to be with that part of you? And then the next step is, how do you want to express that in the world? You expressing the sincere, loving human being has been a gift to so many people. I can't tell you how many people have written, "Thank you, Lilou, for your vulnerability. Thank you, Lilou, you're me." For every time that you get real, seriously, for every time you get real, you give a gift in the world. That's true when you allow out that fun side of you, and it's true when you allow out the sad part of you or the part of you that feels vulnerable or whatever. How do you want to be with the parts of you, every part of you? And then, how do you want to express that in the world? See, now you're in the realm of authentic self-expression. Now you're in the realm of purpose. Now you're in the realm of fulfillment. You're in the realm of your human potential when every part is integrated. If any part of you is cut off, it's going to inhibit you from realizing. It will. You can't be conflicted, because what ends up happening is the conflict runs the show. It is a split. It cuts off your potential. Right there. It's over. You're stuck. So you're pretending to be something while a big part of you is screaming at you, you aren't really. So you have to integrate. And then here's the deal. You, in this work with me, will, if we get this right, and I believe wholeheartedly, I've said you're going to move fast, you're going to give up your struggle with weight. You're going to give up your struggle with food. You will still have the challenges, but the way that you approach them will be very different. It's the struggle part. That's the conflicted part that I'd like to offer that you can release. Will you still have challenges with food? Of course, I still have challenges with food. That's my coping behavior for 40 years. How the heck am I just going to let it go? It's something I have to relate to so that I can interrupt it and make other choices and have practices that support me so that more often than not, I don't fall into those coping mechanisms. Those are my baths, my meditation, my affirmations, my gratitude work. That's what I set up for myself. My rituals around food and around eating, right?
So I want to be, I do want to be loving and authentic.
That's what you're working on. And that's what this dream represents. That's what this dream is all about, is you really becoming the three things: the kid, the observer, and the adult. You are all three. You are vulnerable. You are covered with makeup. It's hard to see that you're perfect under that. It takes a lot of cleaning away. That's absolutely accurate. The idea that sometimes the little girl in you is suffocating because there's no room in your life to let her out. And we talked about this. How have you been in relationship with Aurelie? And you said to me, I cut her off. I've denied her. I haven't let her into my experience because I thought there was something wrong with her, specifically for her vulnerability. And that has changed. That's what we're working with.
The dream tells me, Lilou, that it's well underway. It's well underway. You're in it. In fact, you're in the last mission. There's so much success of this integration process that is happening. It is occurring. There is no, if I get this, I will be integrated. It is an integration that is occurring. And the dream, I trust dreams so implicitly.
No, it feels, all this feels right. And when I did, and Barnett Bain, Freeman, that you introduced me to, he mentioned that too with the ritual, as to just, put out this flame and do those things so that it's not one more thing for me to do, because I'm a doer, but it's more just being, and
all of us doers need to become beers. Yeah, and so, my assignment to you is put on a little yellow and take 5 minutes and dance around saying to yourself, this is me being free with a soft belly, open and integrated.
Can I add something to that assignment? Because I want to extend this out just a little bit. Yes, I would do that, and I would play with it in this way. So let's talk for a minute about the makeup. It seems to me that you're putting on makeup, because I said to you back a ways, I don't know, half hour ago, that I want you to begin to intentionally choose how you want to put on makeup, right? So right now it may be a way of covering up, right? Or something, I don't know. You'll have to figure that out. Maybe you can tell me. But The other side of it will be what we establish now, which is what do you want the makeup to be an expression of? So let me ask you that first. Do you, well, let me just say it this way.
I mean, the thing is that I have it that, I do have it that I have a pretty face, and that came up on the face. I have a body that is very proportioned. I have the, how do you call that? I mean, it's not a block. It's curvy. I'm curvy, voluptuous woman. That's who I am. But then I'm getting red, and then we try to fit in this image of skinny, you know. And I'll never be skinny. I don't have the body for that. I don't have the bones for that. I'm more on the athletic side that could have, you know. So
Thank God.
I don't know what to do with all that, because a part of me, you know, there is some features that I do enjoy. You know, I'm not all, you know, harsh on myself either. But
so
then
you
it came on the face, you know, one of the things that I had.
Yeah.
Yes.
So here's the thing.
It had to be, and then I'm in front of the camera, so of course it had to be there.
Okay, I'm just going to try this on. Let's do this. Let's do dress up. So I have a 5-year-old daughter who loves to dress up, right? What if you do play with this? What if putting on makeup and putting on your outfit, you bring a fun quality to it, that it's dress up, that it's something you're stepping into? If that feels like that resonates, I just want to give you an opportunity to explore. There probably is, I'm guessing a little bit, there probably is an experience you have getting dressed, being prepared to go out in the world that is associated with the sit up straight, tuck your butt in, be appropriate, you have to look a certain way, all of those sort of rigid messages you got from your mother, right? There's got to be a part of that. You're muted, Lilou. We can't hear you.
When I have too much, like I have it when I have really the body, you know, when I have the perfect weight, I would put it that way, the perfect weight, then we get more attention. And then that's when I cannot be with that attention, because I get lots of attention, and then so definitely the weight is part of not getting that, and you know, and being more invisible in the world, because otherwise I'm like 6 foot, you know, and I do have the body. If I'm on the right weight, yes, I do get that I have that figure, you know, I can be that hot chick, but I don't want to go there, because then I have too much attention. So that's the duality of it. That's the uncomfortable side of it, and I want to be just myself, you know, walk in the street and just you know, wear the clothes that I want to wear, and not have to feel ashamed, you know, to have a good body underneath all that. You know what I mean?
The woman in yellow,
yeah,
can handle the attention.
And the part of you that feels split, one part of you likes the attention,
yeah,
and one part of you gets overwhelmed.
Yeah.
The part of you that gets overwhelmed needs to be cared for, so you can step into being okay with the attention you're getting. They both have to be integrated.
I just want to be myself with the attention, you know, and be free of that. And just,
that's what you're working on. That's what you're working on.
Because otherwise I'll keep on putting weight. Each time I get a compliment, then that's when I start eating again. I cannot be with that. Like, as soon as you tell me, oh, Lilou, you've lost weight. Oh, my God, you look so great. Boom, 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 boom.
It's too much for the little girl. It's too much. She feels overwhelmed.
Yeah.
I understand. And there's a part of you that's learned to defend yourself.
Ridiculous.
So, yeah. Well, it isn't ridiculous. It's human. And right now what I'm getting from you is there's a sense of burden, like you want this gone. And I'm going to offer to you that the work is to actually, when that comes up, when resistance comes up, allow it to be your teacher. Instead of moving away from it, move towards it. Allow it to tell you something. So again, we're creating more and more space for Aurélie in the world. As we do that, as there's more and more ways that you care for the part of yourself that gets scared, overwhelmed, hurt, sad, angry, frustrated, whatever, as there's more room for you to be those things, then you will be able to step into the other aspect much easier. Because when you deny something, when you reject it, it just gets bigger. So the burden that you're talking about is this has become very big in your life in a particular way. It's under covers, it's under wraps, but it's become a major thing, which is why you called me in. You called me in because it was time to get to work at it. You've denied and repressed it long enough, and there's no quick fix, which is the good news. I have to say this because everyone wants this to be easy, and there's a part of it that is wonderfully rewarding. Don't shortchange ourselves from that. We're supposed to accept every part of ourselves, and sometimes that takes time. Sometimes it's hard or it feels hard. But here's the good news. It is incredibly rewarding. And in this relationship, in this vulnerability and this appreciation for everything you are, is the gift that you have to give the world. Absolutely. It is both. You are up and you are happy and you are fun and you are vibrant and you're a little sad and a little mad sometimes. And when they're both integrated, then you're real. And all I want in my life is to be real. The only people I want to attract in my life are people who are real. I pretended for a long time to be something I wasn't. I pretended. And it was nothing short of excruciating. Because it was a denial of who I really am. I met a woman, my first wife, who's actually in there, she was on Bold and the Beautiful. And she was an actress and whatever else. And we were playing roles. She wasn't real to me. I wasn't real to her. My wife is real. Right? Yeah. And my wife, by the way, is not a stick figure. My wife is very curvy and very athletic, and she's very voluptuous. She's a very real woman. And I will tell you, I am not attracted to stick figures. So you may find the man you draw in is a man who likes your body.
Yeah.
The minute you like your body, you can then bring in a man who likes your body.
I mean, I think men that I've been with liked my body. That's I'm clear about that.
Well, that's good. We want that.
I'm clear about that. What I would like is to be comfortable myself and at ease with it, and not have to, hide anything or be this and that, and just be who I am. Because I always find a way to hide parts of my body I don't like, and it's
exhausting.
It's exhausting.
It's exhausting, and it's painful, and it's just reoccurring.
It suppresses my self-expression.
Exactly. That's
it. Makeup was on my body, I was removing, because then it's covering up all of that, and it's just.
I really like the. I'm all about ritual. I really liked the idea of as a ritual, inhabiting dressing up and making up as if you were a 5-year-old, and how fun that would be, because every time you put makeup on, it's now still connected to the shame. Right? So in my world, the only way to alter these things is with stuff that's not in the intellect. We can't think our way into right action, but we can act our way into changing our thinking. And so one little ritual where you dress up as if you're 5 years old and put makeup on as the 5-year-old would, instead of as a woman with rosacea. Is that even, put it on as a 5-year-old would be like, I've got makeup on, isn't that fabulous? Before you go out or before you go on camera. Just as a ritual, that in and of itself, I believe, will have some of this impact on integrating you in a way that intellectually thinking about it or talking about it won't.
I agree. And it's just an exploration. Look, you can do it either often or you can do it once in a while. It's one of those things that I would explore it as an expression of you, so that you have lots of ways to express yourself in the world. And look, I work strategically before I go on TV or on the radio or before I come to you. I do some ritualistic stuff to set myself up so I'm in the right energetic, vibration, the right frame of mind to be present, I use intention. So these are all strategies. And look, Ram Dreary talked about this. You're expanding your toolkit so that you have more ways to be Lilou in the world.
You must have a spiritual practice, Lilou, yes?
I do have, I have a few things that I do in the morning, including reading my gratitude poem and intentions for the day, breathing in white lights and working on that. And at the end of the day, I do say things I'm grateful for. I
Great.
do also video blogs and share my insights and challenges and
So,
speak out intentions. But I don't have a, it's more again doings. I really, I think there's my feminine side and feminine energy and this allowing that is a big one for me because I tend to block the receiving, or when a man is interested or everything, I just, if I'm not quite interested or if I don't feel I'm up to it or whatever, I just immediately like, so I can be very harsh on people, and I, instead of just being me and being okay with that, like I don't want to disappoint, so I immediately put a wall for certain, but at least I get the message clear, you know? So
now,
I just want to have with that all ease also.
Freeman has an idea for you, but before he goes to that, I want to ask you a question about your intention list. Have you ever had on that list of what you intend, have you ever had the I intend to inhabit my body fully and freely?
I have, funny enough, I was this weekend in Michigan in a seminar, and one of the things that I put in there that called me, that was a fun, more intention, but it's like, my intention is to be today a smoking hot chick.
Okay, I like that. Fun. All right, good. Because the smoking hot chick, by the way, who wears a lot of yellow.
So I put that on there so that I can be with all that greatness. You know?
Yes, it's already in you.
So
see, that's
kind of,
the thing.
I'm starting that process of every day reminding me and living that and expressing that, however that hot chick wants to be expressed.
Yes.
And the piece that we've talked about is that it's not the mornings and the evenings, it's throughout the day where it's integrating into the day other opportunities to check in, right? We've talked about that?
I do that.
Well, I know that, but here's the... I've said,
funny.
So, Lilou, here, this is important. So we've talked about your ritualistic practices around food, right? And I've asked you to create whether it's affirmations for meal times, a ritualistic way of honoring your body with food. Here's, I think, the piece, and I'm just going to kind of prescribe it. If you can create rituals around food that are self-honoring, where you sit down and you make it about nourishing, spiritually, nourishing this vessel that's connected to your mission. We call it the imperative. That's the big piece for you. And I know you haven't done it yet, but I mean, that's going to be the work, is to really create a mindful eating practice, a ritualized mindful eating practice. That's the gig. Because at that point, we're working in two ways. One is it's your chance to check in throughout the day because you got to eat. And the other is it's a way of relating to food as a necessary part of moving forward in your life versus the struggle with the food. Does that make sense?
Right, yeah.
I have some language suggestion. I'm sort of serious.
I just don't want to do that, though.
I understand.
I want to say, fuck that. I don't want to do it.
Good. Honey, I get it. We all say, listen, I've always said this about, if you don't say no first, it's not your vision. So the fact that you don't want to is good news to me. Oh, yeah. It tells me this is exactly where your work is. Where we say no is where the resistance is, which is where our soul is beckoning us from. And my suggestion would be that you sit down at every meal and the affirmation prayer is something like this. I am a smoking hot chick, and I take this food into my body and I nourish my body and soul with every bite.
Nice. And here's the reality, Lilou, is you can change these over time. You may find that a certain ritual that you do works for a length of time, and then at some point you change it and it becomes something else. I don't care. And the part of you that doesn't want to, I mean, we're done for today and we have to finish the session, but I'm just saying that we'll work more on this. I mean, we've already talked about the rebel. What's the rebel expression? What's the part of you that has resistance? And I do think it's the part of, if you step into your greatness, who are you going to betray and what are you risking? Because I think it's just like when you come out in the world, you get a lot of attention. There's a part of you that likes that and the part of you that doesn't. The part of you that doesn't is who we need to talk to. That's our work. The party that likes it's fine. It's taking care of itself. But the party that doesn't is that other. It's the left side of the split that we need to work with so that you can move into expressions of that are healthy and have more of the right side.
Very interesting. Very exciting.
Bless you,
so
Lilou.
glad we had this session. Thank you for coming.
I'm so thrilled that you met my friend Michael. Dear, dear friend. He is so much to me besides the fact that we do our series together. Lilou, we'll set up another one, and we have lots of work to do, but thank you for today.
When do you guys have a series so that people that want to listen to you can listen?
Perchance to Dream is perchancetodreamseries.com. It's the series that we do.
It's up now.
Every week?
Yes.
We're getting ready to start that, this week.
We have, I think, 4 or 5. Oh, we have 6 up.
6 up.
I think we have 6 up.
You're a good duo.
Thank you. We have fun.
We love each other. That's it.